Sports Show on Twitch, on Mixer, on YouTube, and Facebook. We'll take your phone calls 877-853-5247. Meeting ID esports extra. That's 377-678-9872. Hit that pound button twice to join the show. Larry Ridley here from SNY TV. A little NBC Sports, a little NBA, 2K League, a little Madden NFL. Got the big crew today. Got the A team today. We'll start down in the A. Her name is Renee
Hey, I
Montgomery.
see what you did there.
WNBA champ. She's all over the place. She's big time now.
Oh my
Put it out
goodness.
Put it out
Listen.
there.
You see where I am. You see where I am right now.
She's big time, folks. I mean, you know, you can catch her in the A and all over your tube, all over your streaming devices, on demand, everywhere. On the court, off the court.
You finished? You finished?
Yes. Kissing babies. Yes.
Handing out water.
Handing out water. Servitude. Servitude.
Exactly. Officiating weddings, whatever you need, she can do it for you. The multi-talented, uber talented. She's yours.
Oh my gosh. This intro.
What's up, Renee?
I'm in a no limit mood, so you can sing "She's Your Queen to Be," but you know I was on that. You understand? I'm a rapper, but I'm still a gorilla. You understand? I whoop you like a Thriller Manila. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We're going Derwin. We're Derwin Warrell, fellow sportscaster, NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. Where Brooklyn at?
Right here. Trying to stay. It's hot outside, man. Just trying to stay cool. Hot in Brooklyn.
Man,
And they still shooting off fireworks.
Yeah. Wow. 4 days later, still shooting off fireworks.
They got unlimited.
Unlimited? No limit? Unlimited.
No limit.
Okay, we got it. We got a nice little crossover. And then we got, I was about to call him Siobhan Williams again. Antonio Williams. Hey, Willie with the hoodie. What's up, baby?
What's good? What's good? Again, appreciate you all having me. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir, man. Stay safe down there in Dalworth, baby, in the Metroplex, the DFW.
People need to stay in the house.
Yes, sir.
Word in the house, and I'm in the house.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take your phone calls live here, 877-853-5247, meeting ID esportsXTRA, 377-678-9872 at the pound button twice to join the show. I want to thank our sponsors. We got Dale in here. I want to thank Vanessa and all the fine folks at Dale. I want to thank the good folks
Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Well. Yes, Rap Snacks.
Dale, I was waiting on that new desktop. Need that. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Also, we got Rap Snacks, as we were just talking about No Limit Soldiers, Master P. The good folks down there. James Lindsay, the owner of Rap Snacks, doing some good things down there. Now offices in Miami, Florida down there. You can catch them and get some chips in stores.
Get some chips.
Walmart. Yeah, I got a bag. I got a box full of them still upstairs. So when we go to the A, I'm getting you a box. How about that? You want a box? I'm getting you a whole box.
You get a box. You get a box. Yes, I want my box.
Absolutely. And of course, our good folks at Lucid Sound. Tim DeLulo and those good folks at Lucid Sound Audio Headsets. All right, let's get started, guys. I got a great show today. We're talking Pat Mahomes, talking the NFL preseason. Colin Kaepernick back in the news. Not as heated this time. I don't have to put one on Derwin Warrell, not this afternoon or tonight. Deshaun Jackson in the news. Darren Haynes, good buddy of mine, WUSA TV, the CBS affiliate in Washington, D.C., will join us. Former ESPN sports anchor. Actually replaced me in Boston some years ago. So we're good brothers and good friends nowadays. Dan Snyder, we'll talk about him. Dwayne Haskins Jr., the QB with the Redskins. Right now, QB1. We'll see how long that will last. Looks like it will. Cleveland Indians, we're talking about that. Major League Baseball opening day, less than 2 weeks away. We'll talk about that. Maker, yes, the number 16th overall recruit in high school basketball going to Howard. We'll talk about that. Extra Life PCH, a big esports tournament featuring Madden and NFL. Yes, Madden, NFL, and NBA 2K. We'll talk about that as well. Polk State got an NBA 2K tournament this weekend we'll be doing. Myself and Renee Montgomery. We'll talk about that and how you can watch that. And then, of course, Compete Forever on Black News Channel, episode 6 this weekend. It's an NBA 2K event. We'll get into that. All right, let's start with the top news. The baddest quarterback on the planet, Patrick Mahomes, 10 years, $503 million, up to $503. It's really 12 years, up to $503. Probably, if you really want to look at it, it's about 10, about $470. To get the $503, you have to win what? MVP and the Super Bowl like every daggone year, which is possible, but definitely, look, he's looking at $45 million a year. Look, the Chiefs are going to be cash strapped a little bit. actually, when you look at it, he's only guaranteed about a third of that money, about 150 million or so, give or take 10 or million each way. Your thoughts on this record-breaking deal, the largest deal in the history of professional sports? We'll start with the professional basketball player who's signed contracts and kissing babies and signing more contracts. We'll talk about that another time. Renee Montgomery down there in the A. What do you think about Pat Mahomes, the homeboy?
Listen, how many babies I got to kiss to get a $500 million
All
deal?
of them.
Listen, all of them. But the thing about it is, people were talking about, he had made a statement that said, he can no longer play basketball and ski and different things like that. Listen, if somebody tells me to sign a $500 million contract, I'm not taking out the trash. I'm not tweeting my own tweets. I'm not driving my own car any longer. It's all dangerous, and I'm too important for this. I'm worth $500 million. So,
Billy.
this is a different type of talk here. You're like, oh, he's only going to get a third of it. Only gonna get a third of 503, and I get it. Like, I get it. This is a record-breaking contract.
160, yeah.
But the 10-year, honestly, though, I think the main problem that a lot of people have is with the time, the amount of time, 10-year to 12-year deal. That's essentially you signed a lifetime contract. That's all I saw. Like, we see athletes sign lifetime contracts with endorsement deals. He essentially signed a lifetime contract with his team.
Absolutely. Antonio, you've dealt with professional sports, worked at Nike, worked in Major League Baseball, NBA. He still has 2 years. I think he's making around 5 this year, and the next year goes up to about 22. So he's due about another 27 or 28 on these 2 years here, and then he gets that 450. Have you ever seen anything like this? We saw Mike Trout. He eclipsed that. You look at some of these quarterbacks that have signed long-term deals. Mike Vick, Brett Favre had a lifetime contract with the Packers. Really hasn't worked out for a lot of people, but hey, man, you can't knock the guy. Definitely deserving. We'll see if the Chiefs can start slotting people in under this cap. Jones, some of these other people, the Honey Badger, Watson, Sammy Watkins. We'll see about this, Willie.
Yeah, it's one of those things that as a player, you have to think, of course, I have to do what's best for me, but sometimes you also have to make sure that you are being signed and you're going at a fair market rate, because the reason is if you take less on your deal, essentially what you're asking other players to do is to take less as well if you're the best guy. And so he set the market with this deal. And also, too, I think it's different for different players. Some players want to take another bite at that apple and he has some opt-outs where he can actually do that. But he also at the same time wanted some longevity and some security as well. And it's different for different players. And he opted for that security with the ability to be able to opt out as well. So it's almost like having the best of both worlds. And then the other thing I'll say about it also, when you look at the numbers, when Brett Favre signed his big deal with the Packers, he signed a deal and people were saying, wow, that's a lot of money. It actually averaged out to about 18.5% of the cap.
Tom Brady, at the height of his power, is about 12% of the cap. He's going to be around 20 to 25 at times. Wow. A $59 million cap hit coming down the road.
Right.
Until he's like 36.
Yeah. So, and again, one of those interesting things about it as well is even though he has the ability to opt out, some of those numbers are guaranteed really early in terms of when he's going to get that next payout. Yep. I think his salary for the next season gets guaranteed on the third day of the season that they're in. So it was an interesting deal. I think, though, when you look at it, I also think it's not only is it a good deal for Patrick Mahomes, I think it's actually a really good deal for the Chiefs as well.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you about. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about that, Derwin, and that's what I want to touch on. Not a bad deal for the Chiefs. Look, we always talked about this. That number with Patrick Mahomes was going to start with the 4. That's just the way it was. And I said it could even approach a 5, and it got pretty damn close to a 5. It's still not crippling, if you will, for the Chiefs. What say you?
I normally do not like deals like this. I don't like 10-year deals. I just think they're too long. I think anything can happen in year 5 or 6, and then you regret it. I think about Alex Rodriguez and the Texas Rangers, 7-year deal. I knew that would never amount to anything, and then
it was 10, wasn't it? It was 10 years.
It was 10, yeah.
It was 10, 250. Yeah.
And I said the Rangers would never win a World Series with that guy. And then we wound up taking him for whatever reason.
They never got even close. They never got close.
Because we were fooling around with the Red Sox. The Red Sox wanted them, so then we won him. Right. But Patrick Mahomes is different. He is the guy. He's the face of the franchise. He is the
Face
face
of the
of the
league.
NFL going the next decade. He's the guy you want. And even one of the executives said a couple of weeks ago when he was in part of that video, that's the guy. When we saw him in that video, we knew that Roger Goodell had to say something. Everybody recognizes that he's the
Yeah.
guy. I'm still nostalgic where I like to see great guys stay in one team and don't move. Hopefully that happens for him. He is young. He's good. He's coming off of a Super Bowl win. You had to do the deal now because, first round draft pick, you get 4 years plus, the option for the fifth. He's in his fourth now. So you want to do the deal now. And I looked at the contract today. To me, it seemed like the contract is all front loaded. All the money is front loaded. His 141 million guaranteed.
Yeah, well, that's
money.
NFL. You look at the first 3 years. That's pretty much where your
Yes.
guarantees are, and that's pretty much all these pretty much guaranteed. That's what's
Yes.
around 150. But you got some big cap hits coming down the road. They'll probably rework it. But my
They're
problem
going to
is,
rework it.
why didn't he go for something short, like 3 or 4 years? Give me $150 guaranteed, and then I'll get another bite at the apple again. Maybe 2 or 3 more bites at the apple. That's my only problem with it. But look, 500 million is 500 million.
Yeah.
Far
Yeah.
be it to say me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking at this deal, and it looks like after the fourth year, I don't see this money in the contract, but I don't see it. I don't see it guaranteed. I think there's spaces where they could redo numbers. And then I don't think he wants to go anywhere. This is where he wants to be. So I think it's a great deal for the organization. It's a great deal for him. I see him as being a guy. Hopefully, they won't lose a lot of players because of this deal. They can still get some guys in. They also got a couple of studs at wide receiver that have some real speed that are just now coming into their
Hartman from Georgia, young guy.
They got some real,
But Watkins going to be hard to keep him. I don't know if you can keep Chris Jones. You got the Honey Badger. Look, Frank Clark. They got some pieces. Look, they're good
They just
for next
signed
year.
Frank.
Yeah, well, but what about Jones? Look, you're not going to be able to slide everybody in. And that's what was amazing about the Patriots. They kept the salary cap nice and tight. Tom Brady gave back money all the time. Bill Belichick is a master when it comes to signing people on the cheap, sometimes at the detriment, of his own team at times. But look, that's going to be a situation. We'll see what happens with the Chiefs going forward real quickly. 5 seconds, 10 seconds apiece. Do you think dynastic this Chiefs team will be? We'll start with you, A. Willie. You think how many Super Bowls you think they'll get in the next 10 years? I don't think they'll get more than 2. I'm just putting it out there. I really don't.
It's so difficult.
That defense ain't very good. They got lucky last year. They played well at the right time.
Right. No, agreed. It's so difficult to win championships. And I'm sure we talked about him last week, but when Aaron Rodgers went, I think we all thought he would go again and win multiple Super Bowls.
Hasn't been back since 2009.
It hasn't materialized.
Sherman died on that hill.
Stop it. How many times did Kaepernick go?
same as Rodgers. He did, but he went more recent. But you're right. We're both right.
No. I just think that when we saw what the Patriots were able to do with Tom Brady, I just think people think that, okay, the next transcendent quarterback is going to be able to do the same types of things. And that's highly unlikely. Yep. So in the next few years, I would say maybe 2 or 3.
Okay. Next, I said 10. So you're thinking 2 or 3. I'm at 2. Renee, next 10 years, how many will the Chiefs win?
Yeah, I think 2 is safe. 3 is, I'm going to go on a limb and say 3. But, I'm just going to say something about athletes. Whenever you give them a lot of money, they want to play better. It's a thing. So you have a very motivated guy on a front end contract. People are probably asking, is he worth it? In his mind, he's going to be training for that. So, yeah, he's going to be motivated.
Derwin, it's scary. He said he finally started reading defenses and learning defenses just a year and a half ago. That's scary as hell. What say you, Derwin? How many wins? How many Super Bowls next 10 years?
I think, like Renee said, 2 is safe because it's just so hard. Someone that Seahawks fan, I watch Russell Wilson. You're going to have to take a hit somewhere. And when Seattle's teams, they put all their money on that defense. They had like 9 guys on defensive starters making over $10 million. So that's something had to give. You know where it gave? It gave on the offensive line. You can get big offensive line players. So with Kansas City, it's probably going to hurt them on the defensive end. They're going to be an offensive-minded team. They're going to have to be, okay, but you got to score 35. You got to score 40 a game. And they're capable with the speed that they have. They are capable of doing that. and they might not have a great offense going on the next 10 years. They just got to do with great defense to do it with a great offense.
With Pat Mahomes at the helm, they're averaging 32.5 points a game. So when he
Them-
plays,
yeah.
small injuries, not a huge injury concern, but at Super Bowl MVP, an MVP of the league, 50 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards. I think their record is like 24 or 25 and like 6 or 7, something like that. And they've never, here's the stat that I love about Pat Mahomes. They've never lost a game by more than a touchdown at any game that he's played.
He's
That
in them
tells you
all. He's
they're
in them all.
Exactly. There you go. Let's keep it to the National Football League. Hey, shout out to Jay Bird on Mixer, man. Yes, we are. Yes, great debate.
Shouts to Coach K too.
Yeah.
Shouts
Jay
to Coach
Bird.
K.
He said, talk yo Ridley. Okay, I'm trying to, man. These guys are talking that What's up, Kevin? Coach K, what's up, real quick?
I just want to know if he's going to keep putting ketchup on his steaks.
Oh, yes.
After he
Oh, that's delicious.
No, actually, it's not. It's actually
Oh,
not. That's
Ketchup
not
goes with everything, bro.
It does. You're right. It's like
I don't put
cheese.
anything on my steak, but I do understand the people that put ketchup on it. I might have to dabble in some steak sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't have the right seasoning, I'm gonna get some steak sauce.
All right. Well, I've got kids, so it's all about cheese in my house. Cheese goes with everything.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Speaking of cheese, let's move on to the National Football League. Maybe giving up some cheese here. The NFL, we talked about it preseason. They're definitely cutting it down from 4 games to 2. The Players Association, the union, they want 0 preseason games. Your thoughts on this, guys? You think it'll end up at 2 or 0? I don't think you can go. You really can't split the baby and have 1, can you? So it's either going to be 2 or 0. What are your thoughts on this? We'll start with you, Renee.
I understand the reasoning. I get scared because we're talking about players going from 0 games to the real deal. Preseason.
They do it in college.
Yeah, they do. I know, but in college you have a whole preseason. Like there's training. We understand that this is not the normal training that led up to this season. So not having preseason games, I always get scared from the athlete perspective of injuries, but I also understand it for the less contact. So this is like I'm waiting to see what's really going to happen with everything. We're making all these plans, but I want to see what's really going to happen.
Yeah. I was about to call you Siobhan again. We got to change that. Hey, really, Antonio Williams, the great husband to the great Siobhan Williams. Your thoughts, National Football League and the Players Association. Well, the Players Association want 0 preseason games because of COVID-19 and just other things that they're trying to get assimilated with, the training camp coming on board late in July, only so many practices and things of that nature.
I sort of agree with Renee as well in terms of understanding that this is a collision sport and you want to minimize as much of that collision as possible, especially if it doesn't matter when you just gave Patrick Mahomes almost $500 million, right? So with that being said, you certainly don't want I remember watching Dick Vermeil's reaction when Trent Green went down in the preseason when he was quarterbacking the Rams and he thought that their Super Bowl hopes were down the drain. And then comes Kurt Warner. But that's catching lightning in the bottle.
All the NFL teams can just go to Walmart or to ShopRite or Stop and Shop and find a bagger.
And go find a Hall of Fame quarterback. Right, exactly. But on the other side of that, I feel if we do this, it's really hard for a player that's really trying to make the league. And not the players that are already set in their roles, already set with their contracts, et cetera. For those players that may have a shot to make the league and impress someone, whether it's the team that they're with or they're gaining film for another team to look at, I think it's going to negatively impact them. So in terms of splitting the baby, I think I'm on both sides because of that.
No, you can't be on both sides. No, absolutely not.
But
20-second timeout. Used to play basketball. We're not doing that. 20-second timeout. Pick one.
No, I'm about guys having opportunity.
Okay,
I'm about guys having opportunity. So let's have 2. Let's have 1.
He said, "Split that baby," is what he said.
Throw that baby out with the bathwater.
No.
Hey, Willie, you got kids? Hey, Willie, you got 1, right?
Yes.
Are you throwing the baby out with the bathwater?
No, but guys got to have an opportunity. And again, I played the game. I understand how violent it is. I understand that. So, but with that being said, though, I certainly want to see guys have an opportunity to make a team. And in the NFL, that's a lot more prevalent than it is, say, the NBA, because they're just more roster spots.
Sure. D-Dubs, 80 guys going to training camp, no preseason games. What say you? Might even be 75. I think anywhere from 75 to 80 is what they're talking about.
You got to have some kind of practice. You got to have a simulation game. I just think you need at least one. I'm okay with two, but I would hate to see them just go from training camp just to start regular season.
You know
And
they
then
do this in major Division I college football, right?
This ain't the major division college football.
But you got to remember there's
Larry,
spring
that's true.
game. Like you
That's
got to
true.
remember there's different type of scrimmaging to where you get
Sure.
some type
Sure.
of simulation. That's kind of what we're saying. So even if it's not a standardized preseason game, like there has to
not-
be some
Yeah.
from
speed.
0 to
But they're not gonna do joint practices either this year because of the COVID. What I'm saying is,
Exactly.
guys, basically it's COVID. That's all I'm saying. I agree with
Right,
everything
right.
you're saying, but because of COVID, everything's gonna change this year. That's all I'm
Right.
I
saying.
know, but that's what we're saying is injuries can still happen even
Yes, they
though
will
it's
happen.
COVID is what we're
They will
saying. So
happen.
when you change everything, it's like that's scary. I know
It
it's
is.
COVID, but that's scary.
It is.
Right,
and
right.
Larry, when I know Alabama doesn't have a preseason per se, but when they play Louisiana
Santa
Lafayette,
Monroe,
right?
the correctional schools,
right? When they play them, that's
Right.
preseason.
That is a
Yeah.
preseason.
Yeah, yeah.
That
It's a
is
tune-up
true.
game. And
Right.
what about those teams that have like a rookie left tackle? He have no real game, and now you're going to put him out there left tackle in a regular season game with no
Uh-huh.
off season, no real preseason, and your quarterback gets smoked because
Look,
he's
Yeah.
I agree. It makes perfect sense to me. I'm just saying, the Players Association, they're making some calls here, some recommendations, and I'm okay with no preseason games.
Yeah, I
Most
mean, I
people
get
like-
it.
I mean, but for just this year. But typically, look, you got
Mhm.
90 guys on the team. You need those preseason games so they can show what they can do, so guys can put some things on tape, as Coach K likes to say, the eye in the
Right.
sky, and you can have all of that behind you. So I definitely agree with that. We'll keep it in the NFL. Colin Kaepernick, Derwin's D-Dub's favorite topic to talk about. Not on the field, but off the field. Got a documentary in the works with Disney and ESPN. Friend of the show, Jamel Hill, fellow NADJ
Yes.
member, is going to be one of the producers on that. I think it's a good deal. It's going to talk about him growing up and some of the causes that he's fighting for. Get you guys' thoughts on a Cap documentary. I'm all in. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching it. That's not even I will watch it. I'm watching it. Just let me know. Here's my money. I'm already subscribed to Disney Plus and every
Yes.
other platform that you can subscribe to. So run me my documentary. Shouts to Jamel Hill. My goodness, like if you want somebody to tell your very powerful story, she's the one.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
She's the one. She's made powerful statements in her career.
Mhm.
So it goes along with it. And hopefully too, will this count as him actually doing something, Derwin? I don't know. I'm just saying,
No,
does this
he
count?
ain't even talking. It's Jamil
Oh
Hill.
boy. Here we
I'll watch
go.
it just for Jamil Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
she's
look,
worth it.
she's spoken out on his behalf. We've definitely seen some
As
of her
is
statements.
everybody
She's-
else. But
She
go on.
slammed the president and slapped Trump in the face a couple of times too. So it's good to see the ESPN, not harboring any, ill will towards her, although they didn't have to pay her a nice little salary on the way out the door. So it's all good. They got back together. Durbin, you got the floor, brother. Colin Kaepernick got a documentary. Go ahead and do what you got to do, man.
I mean, hey, people love him. People like him. They've,
Oh,
he's
Derwin.
gotten another opportunity here in America to, get a little some
Here,
cheddar.
America. You act like
I
it's all in the
enjoy this.
street.
Let
Yeah.
Derwin keep talking good. Let me hear it, Derwin. What?
I mean, he's got an opportunity for someone to tell his story, and I'm pretty sure he's getting paid for it. So, hey, well, good for him.
Oh, you know that tone. This tone that
I know.
Derwin has.
I'm
There's a
saying.
tone.
Dismissive. So
He's
disrespectful.
I mean, good
It
for
really is.
him. We never hear
Passive
from him.
aggressive.
I know.
We
It's like,
never
oh, he
hear
can tell
from
his
him.
story
Who-
here in
who
America
can
like
tell
he's
a
a damn
story?
immigrant or something.
Who can tell a story better than Jamil Hill? She's gonna
That's
tell a story.
Listen, you have no complaints on that. That's what I'm excited for. I want to see how she tells this story because there's going to be a part in the story where we're all curious to see how it's told. This is his documentary after all. So
Mhm.
we
Absolutely.
haven't necessarily heard this side of the story from his point of view. So that's what I'm here for. Jamel Hill, tell us a story.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and when you look at some of these documentaries, to be fair and a little balanced there, play devil's advocate, you do see some of the times where you see these producers and filmmakers. It is, look, he's going to have creative control on it. He hired some people. He's got his arm of production people as well. So look, it's going to be slanted towards him. Sometimes with these documentaries,
Absolutely.
they don't get to the truth all the time. It's not, exactly recorded history. So Derwin is correct in that. He's just dismissive at times. And he says outlandish things like the guy's not from here and he'll never speak and he's a hermit. He's never talked before. He's
the
a mute.
documentary is going to be a love fest. It's going to be a love fest.
That's true.
As it should be.
And
What? It's my documentary. Y'all better be talking good about me on my documentary. What? If you want to talk bad about me, make your own and see if people want to see that.
So people interested in your story, Dorland.
The NFL is going to be the big bad wolf. We already know the story.
Maybe not. Listen.
They were going to be the big bad wolf in this documentary.
Derwin, stop hating. Get you a film crew to follow you.
Hello, Disney Plus.
I'm not that interested.
The truth, ladies and gentlemen, the truth finally comes out. Hey, Willie, your thoughts on this, Antonio?
Right.
No, I think it's good. I know a lot of people want to see what led to his activism and what led to this public stance that he's taken. So I think this will shed some light on that. As Derwin was saying, I think this will be, to a certain extent, it will be him speaking through the documentary itself. But no, I'm very interested to see what happens. I'm certainly interested to see what Jamel brings to the equation as well, as everyone has been alluding to. So very excited to see it. Can't wait to see it. And we'll be watching some of the other projects that he has coming down the pipe as well. So very interested to see what this partnership looks like moving forward.
I think it's the first one that Disney and ESPN are going to do with them. So you're right. There will be some other projects coming down the road. So we'll definitely keep an eye on Cap. And look, he still says he wants to play. For the record, we got to put that.
This guy's doing documentaries. With Disney, he ain't playing no football.
Oh,
man.
my goodness.
On,
America,
man.
hug him, embrace him. He's a special person. I'm telling you. Get to know Derwin, you'll like him. Don't listen to him.
Saying he wants to play. He don't want to play.
No,
did anybody offer him a contract yet? I'm just curious if we did.
No. All right, let's move on. I don't want Derwin. I don't want Derwin to dig another hole. And we're just gonna move on. We'll keep it in the NFL. Deshaun Jackson. Some very, unfortunate comments. Not comments because he didn't say it. He didn't tweet it. He did sort of share it, if you will, on Instagram. Some anti-Semitic views. Anytime, guys, I learned this a long time ago. Anytime you equate something or mention the word Adolf Hitler, that's a wrong hole to go down. It's just nothing good is going to come of that. So, had some anti-Semitic remarks right there. And you had some passages and things that said basically that Jews blackmail Americans and African Americans in our plight. Stephen Jackson did come out and say, look, he wasn't lying; he was telling the truth. But the quote was sort of not really even attributed to Hitler. I'm just never comfortable when you got the word Hitler. Whenever I hear Hitler, I'm like, I instantly I recoil. I'm like, I don't want any parts of it. So your thoughts on this, guys? Antonio.
It's interesting because when you look at the history of our country, and I can say this as a Black man attending one of the two Jewish universities in the United States,
wow.
Black people and Jewish people have a very decorated history, but we also have a very complicated history as well. Jewish people were integral in forming the NAACP. And walking with us and helping us when we were registering to vote and all of those things. And then on the other side of that, Louis Mayer, who was part of MGM, the very first Hollywood blockbuster film was Birth of a Nation, and he financed it and distributed it. So it's a very complicated, illustrious, but complicated history as well. And then when you see things like this, it just speaks to the complication part of our history with Jewish people. So it's again, as you said, whenever Hitler is mentioned, whether he said something or not, it's just that's sort of a street that you don't want to walk down.
Yep.
But this also again speaks to a bigger point. We talked about this last week, and I'll just say this quick. Where you had Donald Sterling saying the things that he was saying about Black players to his Black girlfriend.
I know how ironic that was.
So it's just a very, again, we've done a lot of great things together, but then there've also been some very complicated things that have transpired between Jewish and Black people as well.
Renee, your thoughts on this? Deshaun Jackson. We'll see if he's going to still keep his job. Look, the Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie is Jewish. The GM Howie
Oh
Roseman
my
is Jewish.
goodness.
Ah,
Yeah, well, this is what I have to say about it. Clearly, he wasn't educated on the matter. You know what I mean? Like in a sense of he came back and apologized. So if you have to apologize, you didn't fully know what you were posting in a sense. But we have to, okay, let's not forget Drew Brees didn't know about a topic as well. And so
sure.
the same leeway that we give people for being unknowingly
A little
wrong.
ignorant. No, just say a little ignorant. Yeah.
Yeah, like the same. You have to. I say it all the time. If somebody does something and they do it in haste and they don't necessarily fully know it, you have to give them the room to apologize. And then if they genuinely believe it, look, we literally did the exact same thing on the show for Drew Brees. Now, does
Absolutely.
it make it okay? It does not make it okay. And I have the same sentiments I had about Drew Brees. While we're trying to educate of each other, we need to be educating ourselves, and that goes not for just Black culture, but that goes for the Jewish culture. One
Uh,
more thing,
uh-huh.
HBCUs are very like we're natural allies.
Yep.
Going back to what he's saying in a sense of at HBCUs, that was where a lot of Jewish professors went to go teach because a lot of the predominantly white schools wouldn't hire them just because of
Good
the
point.
the anti-Semitic thing. So I think we're natural allies, and this whole movement needs to be about unity. So that's the problem. But Black people feel so attacked that I think
Yep.
people are lashing out.
Derwin, real quickly, we got our guy on the phone, Darren Haynes. Real quickly, about 20 seconds. Go ahead. Sorry,
Oh
brother.
man, I don't know what's going on
30
with
seconds.
Sean.
Go real quick.
It's just unfortunate. He shouldn't have said it. Words have consequences,
Good point.
and I don't know what's going to happen to him. People are bringing up Riley Cooper and how they handle that situation.
That's true. They
So we
kept him.
just got they kept them. We got to wait and see. Time will tell.
Riley Cooper, if you guys forgot, said the N word at a concert to some African Americans. He's a hard N, a hard ER, all that good stuff. So
And he
you're
was
absolutely
evil.
right. Question here: something we should all keep in mind: social media retweets do not equal endorsement. Actually, they do at times. A lot of times they
Yeah.
do. So that's why I'm real careful about some of the things that I tweet. So in the
Right.
social media age, Deshaun Jackson, I hope he doesn't have any hate in his heart. I do believe him when he says that. This was incredibly just not the right thing to do. Very insensitive what he said and what he put out there. Hopefully he learns a lesson from this and he can move on. And hopefully he doesn't lose his job because a lot of people are doing silly things and insensitive things out there, and they still keep their jobs. But he needs to walk the straight and narrow and not let this happen again. Live here, Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show here on Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, YouTube as well. 877-853-5247. Meeting ID Esports Extra. That's 377-678-9872. Hit the pound button twice to join the show. Let's go to the phone lines and bring in WUSA TV sports director. That means he runs the department down in DC. Good buddy of mine. Was at ESPN, also worked in Boston, replaced me after I left WHDH, the NBC affiliate in Boston. He is Darren Haynes. Darren M. Haynes, what's up, brother? What does the M stand for in M? Is it money?
Shoot, I wish it's from Matthew. like the book in the Bible. Hey man, you forgot that I used to work in Alpena, Michigan too, man. Don't forget where I started.
Oh, hey, it's all about where. Hey, if it ain't where you're from, it's where you at, man. So I'm going by what you're doing right now in DC, brother. Good to catch up with you, man. How are you down there in DC, man, the nation's capital?
Man, it has been a long week, and it all comes down to the NFL team that's out here. It's been a long week.
Let's get into that National Football League team. We're going to call them the Washington Football Team. I don't want to offend anyone. Don't know how you feel about the name Redskins. I'll stick to Washington, but Washington making a lot of news down there. What's going on? Will we get this name change in time for the 2020 season? What are the leading team names? It says, I guess I'm reading that Snyder and the franchise, they're talking about not using Native American imagery anymore. So what, Red Tails, Warriors, what are we looking at down in DC? What's the favorite?
Well, a lot of people I see the Red Tails is the one that a lot of people are talking about, obviously from the Tuskegee Airmen. That has been like the number one choice. I mean, there's been people who have these odds makers. I mean, there's always odds maker on certain stuff, and that's their favorite. A lot of people also like the Warriors. My opinion would be is this. The Red Tails would be great because then you don't have to change the initials. So the HTTR, it's Red Tails and then you don't have to also have to change the fight song. All you need to do is just replace the R word with Red Tails. And then the history behind it, especially being in DC, where they call it Chocolate City, who would be against that?
Yes, sir.
Who would be against that?
Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? Who would be Yeah.
But to answer another one of your questions, from what I'm hearing from everybody is they're trying to make sure they get a name that's change. They're basically going to change the name before the NFL season starts. And in my opinion, if they don't change it before the NFL season starts, like if they go out to training camp and they still have that on their jersey, oh, it's going to be chaos.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Redskins, when Nike took that off the stores, a lot of the merchandise on sale, 30 to 50% off, depending on where you go. So it looks like this name change is going to happen. We're speaking here live on Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking esports and traditional sports. WUSA TV sports director, CBS affiliate down in DC. Darren Haynes, good friend of the show, fellow NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists member. Let's talk about the owner of the Washington football team, Dan Snyder. You got the other minority owners jumping ship. He's the only one left standing. What's going on and what's the latest with Daniel Snyder? Seems like a man that doesn't really have a whole lot of friends right now.
Well, I said this on the radio the other day. You know what? Dan Snyder may be a cool dude. The problem is he's just so MIA to the normal fan base or the media. You really can't say anything positive about it because everything that you see, or even the way that he acts is so negative. Even on the football field, I mean, he comes out of the tunnel and he walks right by with his 10 to 12 security guards. You can't even go near him. But he needs to learn a lesson and have a reality check real quick. And if he's listening, I hope he's taking notes, because not only is his fan base backing out, but you have now his some of the owners that own the team that they are now reportedly trying to back out. Now, those are his boys. When your boys back out, that's a problem. So you lose your boys, and now all of a sudden you have Nike. You have people who are selling the merchandise online. You have FedEx, who the stadium that they play, it's called FedEx Field. And you have that sponsor now backing out. Now you're taking the money out of his pocket. So he has no friends, or should I say partners in work, or partners in business. He has no partners in business, and he has no money. That's a problem. Well, he has money, but he's losing money. That's a big issue. So
right.
Dan Snyder needs to really start making some changes, or there's going to be some big problems.
Darren, let me ask you this. You've heard it. We've all seen it. He said, I will never change the name. What happened? What precipitated this so fast and so quickly in DC? Is it just, the climate that we're in, George Floyd and all of the police brutality?
I think a lot of it is, I think 100% it's the climate that we're in. I mean, I was in the protest myself from my own personal experience, and I was looking around and I was like, wow, there are a lot of people who are supporting people who look like me. I would have never thought something like this will happen. All the Confederate statues that are up, people were tearing those down. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I never thought that would actually happen. So back in 2014, when Dan Snyder said he'll never change the name, man, so much stuff has changed since then. So much stuff. Where now it kind of puts him where he's tied behind his back, where he kind of has no other choice, but he has to make a change. Yeah.
Talking here live on Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports and esports. We're talking to the WUSA TV sports director, the CBS affiliate in DC, Darren Haynes. Darren, let's turn our attention to the quarterback, QB1 in year number 2, Dwayne Haskins Jr. Got to make sure we put that junior on there. You've done some nice pieces with him, some one-on-one stuff, had some quality time with him. What should we expect from Dwayne Haskins Jr. in year 2 this year with the Washington football team?
I expect Dwayne Haskins to be a much improved quarterback. I think last year he was in a tough situation where we have a franchise who knew they weren't going to make the playoffs. So you have a lot of people who back out. Trust me, I've been on sucky football teams in the past. There are people who would just play for the paycheck, or they don't want to play because they just want to get their paycheck and not get hurt to ruin future deals. And the way they handled him last year was the fact that they just threw him in the fire. They didn't give him the starting reps that he needed. Now this season, you have your new head coach, you have your offensive coordinator, and even though they have COVID-19 and they're not being able to really practice the offense like you really want to, like in person, there's a lot of Zoom calls and stuff like that. But still, the mental part of it is such a big part of the NFL game. And listen, I'll keep it 100 with you guys. From talking to Dwayne Haskins Jr., talking to his dad, hanging with the family and stuff like that, Dwayne is 100% focused. I had to actually track him down for like a month and a half because he changed his number because he didn't want people bothering him because he wanted to be so focused. So I expect him to come out highly improved, big improvement from last year.
Yeah, good stuff. It was a little tough for him. I know Jay Gruden really didn't give him all the tools that he needed and all the prep time. Real quickly, one last question before we let you get out of here. We're talking with Darren M. Haynes, WUSA TV, the CBS affiliate down in D.C. He's the sports director there. Jay Gruden, not Jay Gruden, Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron down there. How do you think he'll do in his first season with the Redskins? And he's already come out and said he's already got a leader in the clubhouse. He thinks it's going to be one of two names down there in DC. What are your thoughts on Ron Rivera, the new head coach of Washington?
Well, I like Ron Rivera, given the fact that I've covered and I know some of his former players personally. But the team needed a guy who's like a general, a guy who doesn't take any crap. If you don't follow the system, you can get the heck out of here. And the Burgundy and Gold needed a coach like that, who can change the lifestyle, the way players are acting on the team. Because I'm telling you, I've been in that locker room. I talked to the players. There are people who checked out. There are players who did not really respect Jay Gruden. Ron Rivera is a different type of animal. You're gonna mess with him, he's gonna curse you out, or he's gonna put you on the bench. One of the two. Which one do you want to choose? I choose neither.
Very good point. You're looking at a guy that's very tough, a defensive guy, played with the Bears and those great 80s teams, also a disciplinarian, a military guy as well. Darren, we really appreciate your time, man. Keep doing your thing, brother. You're always a friend of mine and welcome on the show, man. I love watching you on TV when I get to DC, man. And don't be a stranger, man. Hit us up anytime we want to talk Washington Redskins or the new football team down there. We'll definitely lean on you. Okay, bro?
My man, there's a lot to talk about. Trust me. Thanks for having me.
All right, yes, sir. Keep doing your thing down there in DC. That's Darren Haynes, WUSA TV sports director for the CBS affiliate in DC, Chocolate City, down there in the nation's capital. Your guys' thoughts? We talked about it. Washington. I'm going to stop saying Redskins, just the Washington football team. This name change. What are the leaders in the clubhouse, and will it happen? I guess by the 1st of September.
It better. I mean, I think that that's their timeline. It's not if it will happen. It better happen by then because you need your sponsors. I mean, come on. Just hearing the name Washington Red Tails is so similar to Redskins that I feel like that's almost the easiest transition. Obviously, it's going to add a lot of historical context as well, going against the name before. So, I mean, I don't see it being far-fetched. They got to do something.
Hey, Willie, with the hoodie, man, your thoughts?
Same thing. I think if that's the leader in the clubhouse, I can understand why people will adopt that name. I also think too, even though we have so many things have changed from a societal standpoint, I think the economic pressure is what really influenced this, in my opinion. And again, as you alluded to, Larry, when Nike says, "Hey, we're not selling your paraphernalia anymore," or when FedEx says, "Hey, you know what? We want to be away from this deal and we'll separate ourselves if you don't change the name of it," that can all of a sudden influence a lot. So with that being said, I wouldn't be opposed to the Red Tails. I'd also like to hear some of Riverboat Ron's names that he has also to hear what his opinion is. But no, I think the Red Tails will be a pretty good name. And from a logistic standpoint, I think it also makes that transition easy.
Yeah, Double R, Ron Rivera did not reveal those names, but I think there's a couple that they like, or two or three. I know he wants something that's also got sort of a military patriotic theme as well. I don't know if you're going to be able to combine all of that. Maybe you can with the Red Tails.
Yeah.
Fought in the Army.
I think that's
that's it, right?
Derwin's not feeling the Red Tails.
Yeah.
Oh no. I actually like the Red Tails. I saw a logo. I don't know if it was how authentic it was for the Warriors. It looked like a guy with a helmet or whatever. But
what would be the reason for the Warriors? I'm just curious. I don't know the historical, but like, why is that one of the top options? I'm just curious.
It's another name that has some Native American imagery to it, not quite as offensive as Braves or Redskin or Red Storm or Red Men, things of that nature, things that have been problems with some of these other sports teams. So I can see the similarities there. Go ahead, Doro.
I think definitely one is it was the climate, and FedEx set the tone. But once they set the tone, and then Nike came and backed them, he has no choice. There's no way that they can go into the regular season with the same name. It'd be crazy for them to do that. So the name change, in my opinion, is going to happen very, very soon. I think Red Tails is a good option to go to. I think it's going to be the Red Tails. I don't know. I just think it's going to
We
be Red
haven't
Tails.
heard any other options. Like,
I heard someone said the Senators, but that's been used before. I want to stay away from government anyway. I wouldn't even go anywhere near government. But Red Tails, with the history, that city, Chocolate City, I think it has a nice. I think it would be nice and something that the fan base would embrace. I have a friend as a Redskin fan. She says she would just also like to keep the colors, which will be kind of cool if they can keep the colors. But the name definitely, Red Tails, I think is not bad. It's a good one in the clubhouse.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. The Redskins, you're on the clock like the damn NFL draft. You better do something. FedEx jumping ship. The guys down in Memphis, they want to get out. Nike, Pepsi, you name it, all the sponsors. And that's why, Daniel Snyder decided to make this move. It became harmful to keep the name. And it's all about money and economics. And we all saw that. So once that was driven the other way, he went the other way. So
that's a win. By the way, that's a win. Just in case people aren't paying attention, that's a win.
Wait, what do you do, Renee? What do we do with wins?
Listen, we take them all. The good, the bad, the ugly, we will take it. We don't care. It's a win.
You put them on the left column. You just check the left column and keep it moving, baby.
Yes, sir.
We talk about this climate, the climate again. It's a climate in such that, people are getting on Snyder Redskins, and then what happens? People being conscious of this climate, Cleveland Indians are like, hey, wait, and even though remember the Cleveland Indians had Chief Wahoo, and they got rid of him a couple of years ago. They changed the Indian symbol with
It's funny that you just brought up the Cleveland Indians. You read my mind. Did you get a rundown last night? You knew we were going to talk about the Cleveland Indians. I think he was studying the run of show last night. He's a professional TV sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. He's a professional. Let's move to the Cleveland Indians. Your thoughts on this, guys? Cleveland Indians. Also, they may have released a statement a few days ago. They're looking into a possible or potential name change. Derwin just mentioned it so eloquently. They did get away from Chief Wahoo a few years ago. Some of the names that we're hearing, Cleveland is what? The rock and roll city. You hear about the Rocks, the Rockers, things of that nature. The Hall of Fame, Guardians, because,
Oh, I like Guardians.
Lake Erie, because, look, I would just call them the Cleveland Mistakes by the Lake. Like that. Something to have to do with Erie, Lake Erie. So we'll see what they do with that. Terry Francona, who I covered with the Red Sox, he was the manager when they won the World Series in 04 and 07. I got there in 06, so I got to spend a lot of quality time with him. He says, look, recently, the last few years, Cleveland, they always approached it. They wanted to be respectful of the name and with the Native American population. But he says this time it's a little different. It's time. So you can see even those guys, excuse me, guys, let me not answer that. You can even see now that the Cleveland Indians are moving on. They see the climate that we're in. You guys' thoughts on the Cleveland Indians potentially swapping out a name as well, Renee?
Well, I mean, I think they're trying to get ahead of the story, right? They already see the Washington Redskins. They see the partners and the sponsors leaving left and right. And they're like, hey, we're already thinking about it. We know we're next. And that's called positive peer pressure, in a sense that they understand that it's not okay. The thing I want to add is that, when you have a name like the Cleveland Indians, I bet you that they do a lot of heritage things and different things of that nature for the Indian culture. I think they should still do that. Even if you change your name, I think that because the Cleveland Indians were such a large part of your culture, if you are doing those things, those should still continue. That would be the only caveat that I said. Even if you change to the Guardians, because that's my favorite choice that I've heard, I think that you guys, they should still do whatever heritage things they already did.
Yeah, I kind of like some of the other Lake Erie ones. I mean, you look at the Lake Shores, the Captains, the Freighters, the Steamers, the Squalls. Like, what are we talking about?
I don't like any of those.
And then you got Insects, the Cleveland Spiders. That was the name of the original national. I'm just throwing out the names. I'm not really into it, but I like Cleveland Rocks. I mean, come on, that's their saying. When you go to Cleveland, like Cleveland Rocks. I mean, that's what they say.
You're gonna put a guitar in it.
I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it.
The Nashville team, the minor league team, was the Nashville Sounds. Their symbol, their mascot was a big old guitar. They had a big old guitar that was the scoreboard out in center field. It's funny you bring that up, but go ahead, Antonio.
If they go, I got to say this: if they go with the Rockers, they better pay the W, because we've already seen that name.
Well, no, not Rockers, but Cleveland Rocks.
Right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So
A
they'll
little
give you a derivative of it. Yeah. So
I like that though. I like
yeah.
that.
But for me, I think it's important. The other thing too, when you're looking at these mascots that we're seeing, and the logos as well, one of the things that's important is oftentimes when us as people, when we often rely on pop culture, things we see on TV, things we hear in music, etc., and that sometimes shapes what we think about people. And then people that you've never met before. And then you have these offensive kind of logos that represent these teams. And that becomes what, to a certain extent, what people think about that particular group. And so that's certainly, from that standpoint, I think we certainly need to get away from those logos and those mascots, because again, because oftentimes people, that's the only way that they sort of have any type of connection with that particular culture.
Sure.
So with that being said, I think it's a move that should happen. As Derwin said, as Renee said, the climate is leading to that. And now it's one thing to have that social pressure, and I keep reiterating this, but it's another thing when the economic pressure comes with it.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
the
when you
thing
get
that
that
we know
confluence.
about, right. The thing we know about billionaires is that they don't like to lose money.
Sure.
So with that being said, I think now with the social and economic pressure sort of combined, I think we're getting to the point where we see these things starting to change now.
It's pretty simple in my opinion. Look, if there are oppressed people or people that are minorities and they have a problem with something, then you should just listen to them. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, hey, these people are speaking to you. They want the name changed, so hey, it's time to change the name. I think Cleveland sensed this a few years ago with Chief Wahoo. They're moving in that direction. I don't know if it'll be ready and available for the Major League Baseball season, which starts like in 2 weeks. But
Right.
maybe for 2021, we'll see. If they can change the name with the Cleveland Indians, we'll see what kind of name they come up with. The name or the city that's by Lake Erie. Keep it in Major League Baseball on the diamond. We just talked about Major League opening day. July 23rd, we got the schedule. The Major League Baseball schedule is out. 60 games. You'll play 40 games within your division against the other four teams in your division, and also 20 games against the team in your region, ALS, AL West, AL East, NL East, things of that nature. Your thoughts on the schedule? Major League Baseball opening day, July 23rd. Yankees against the Nats. Nats getting their rings, opening up on opening day, and also a nice little rivalry out west, Dodgers and Giants. We'll start with you, Renee, since you play pro ball and you've got 3 championships and 3 brothers on here have nothing.
Yeah, so I just keep thinking about the July 4th. As you said, the opening day, the first thing that popped in my mind was, boy, did they miss the mark for July 4th. But, it's crazy because I just think this sports, we've seen the entry to the bubbles, we've seen questions around the bubble. This whole sports thing, I'm just so curious to see how this all plays out, So we do have an opening day. I want to see it. I want to see how everything. I know I keep saying it. It's so hard because it's like we are just making a lot of plans, and there's a whole pandemic, and I'm just curious how it's going to play out.
Yeah, you look at all the money that baseball was standing to lose. The owners, wanted less games. The players wanted more games, Antonio. And I think they settled where it was always going to be 60 to 80 games. You weren't ever going to get 114 or 119. It was never going to be quite like 40 or 50. But they have a window to hit, which was they have to be done by the end of September so they could get the World Series in sometime in October and be done with baseball by, at the very latest, the beginning of November. They had no choice but to sort of slam it in, unless they wanted to play a bunch of double headers, and this is what they were sort of left with, Antonio.
Yes, no, it'll be interesting to see how this, as Renee was saying, how this all plays out, because I know basketball has talked about sort of adjusting their calendar and their start in the NBA. And now with baseball, there's always been talk about is 162 or 162 games too many?
Mhm.
So now this is a good time to see exactly what is that sweet spot for baseball. And to your point, Larry, when you start talking about money again in economics, you have to end, of course, from a weather standpoint, you got to end the World Series by the beginning of November. But from a money standpoint, you have to as well, because you don't want the smoke with the NFL.
Nope.
Right?
And
So,
NBA going on at the same
right,
time. They're already getting the
don't
smoke
want
with
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you don't want that smoke. So with that being said,
Hell, you're going to have hockey too.
Yeah.
right,
Have all four at
right.
the the same time.
All at the same time, and also, so with that being said, I just think that this will be interesting to see as we can try to come up with what's that optimal amount of games where that could bring some interest and some relevance back to baseball.
Derwin, we've seen the players working out here at Citi Field in New York with the Mets, also Yankee Stadium, all over Major League Baseball teams. Also, some teams not practicing as well and working out. Some COVID situations,
Right.
teams not getting back their test results in a timely manner. Some people not even being tested, taking a week. But I guess Major League Baseball squared that away on Monday. They got a lot of things rolling. Now they're looking at having test results back in the 24 to 48 hours max. So looks like they've got that situated. Hey, baseball is back, man. We'll see. I hope they finish, Derwin. I don't know,
Yeah.
but hell, give me something.
I hope they finish too, but they're gonna have to expand the rosters somewhat, and you got to factor in there's no minor leagues, so
Nope.
you can't call anybody up if somebody gets COVID, and guys are gonna get COVID.
Yeah.
Baseball's a different dynamic where you can lose a guy or two, maybe a center fielder, outfielder somewhere. If you have good pitching, you can camouflage it. So hopefully, the guys, maybe they bring up some guys that would normally be in AAA, have them on the bench, just ready to sub in if they need those guys. But it's just a wait and see mentality with all these sports, even with guys in the bubble, NBA. I'm looking at the NFL. I still don't know how the NFL is going to be able to have a season with guys in the trenches, face to face, banging each other. And their rosters are 52 men, 53 men rosters. So it's going to be interesting. Time will tell, but hopefully they can get through the season.
Well, you're going to have that 40-man roster, Major League Baseball, so it'll be expanded, maybe even go past that. But I'm looking forward to see what the Yankees can do. You got Garrett Cole, you got that murderer's row, that lineup. See if they can come out of the AL. And then you look at the Nationals. You got a couple of guys, Dan Esmond not playing this year, so some other guys not playing. They got Max Scherzer going. You look at the Mets in that division, the Braves. You look at Freddie Freeman. Is he going to play? Nick Markakis already is not coming back. So a lot of different storylines with Major League Baseball. Who's there? Who's not going to be there? Who can adjust to the sprint instead of the marathon, which never happens in baseball. So that's going to be fun as well. Also, individual awards. I know Jacob deGrom won the last two, but he's like, yeah, whoever wins the Cy Young this year is probably a little tainted. But the World Series, that's a different story. Yeah, that's a different story. Let's move to college basketball, high school basketball, whatever you want to call it. Not pro basketball. So that's exactly what we're talking about. Maker, the number 16 overall pick.
Maker Mob.
Maker Mob.
Come on now.
Yes.
Maker Mob is here.
How do you say his first name? Is it Maker or is it McCourt Maker?
I think I don't know. So
Antonio, you trapped in that basketball circle. Is it McCourt Maker or Maker?
When we talked about him, we always called him Maker.
Okay.
When we talked about him.
Who is we? You and your friends, your scout friends?
No, yes, and our personnel people in Phoenix and all of the other friends that are in personnel positions in the league. That's what we called them. But again,
Renee.
I don't want to be disrespectful to the man's name.
Maker.
That's why I just say Maker, because I know the last part is right. So Maker Mob going to Howard, HBCU first one of the time. We'll see if the other kid will go. What's his name? Williams.
Mikey Williams.
Yeah, Williams. We'll see if
Mikey Williams. Yeah.
Mikey Williams. Renee, you like this? Going to Howard? I know Coach K, he loves it. That's his alma mater.
Oh.
Yeah, no, and I no, of course I love it, but I like the reasoning behind it. Like he wants to go there, he wants to build there. So it's the thought process, and people say it all the time. So I'm going to say it here so that people know. People follow talent. So the scouts will follow the talent. If he has a top 10 play, they're not going to not put it on ESPN because he went to Howard. So just so people understand now the competition level, people are like, well, he's not going to be playing against the same competition. You have to start somewhere. I guarantee you, if these recruits start going to these HBCUs, they will get added to calendars.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you look at a lot of these kids that barely play high school or maybe sit out a year. What about the competition they had in high school?
True.
Basically, this is like going to a fifth-year high school almost. So,
oh my goodness.
No, I'm just joking. But Antonio, your thoughts, man, going down to Howard. I love this, man, because it's like I was saying.
I mean, Derwin.
He should have gone to Virginia State. That would have been nice. I know, VSU, the Trojans, he would have loved that. Hey, Willie, going to Howard, man, this has got to be great. They will find the talent, bro.
No question. Wherever the talent.
People like you, that's your job, is to go find talent.
Right, no question. We will certainly follow the talent. And the other thing about it, when you look at his decision, what I liked about it is we always say that you want to, when you're acting with the most information, you're making decisions in a power position as opposed to relying on your emotion to make that decision. So he had Howard in his top 5 before the
Right.
social climate became what it is now.
Sure.
So this isn't an emotional reaction to the current climate. This is something that was well thought out. This was something that was already on his radar to begin with. So for me, I think that was really important. And also too, and Renee can attest to this, when you make it to that professional level, you're trying to do something that only 470 people in the world can do. So with that being said, the situation, everything has to go right. And the last time I looked, there are a lot of HBCUs that play Division I basketball. So if that's the best situation for you to be able to display your talent, to be able to use that platform to become a professional, then that's where you should go. And so with that being said, I'm happy to see that more top level recruits are looking at these HBCUs and looking at them and saying, you know what, this may be the best place for me to display my talent. And not an emotional decision, but just the best place for me.
Derwin, D-Dubs, he chose Howard over the likes of UCLA, Kentucky, UNC. Did you ever think that someone would
UNC.
choose? Yeah. Well, look, say what you want. Last year or 2 years, but it's still a blue blood program. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
They've, I've seen other schools, Kentucky, Kansas, at times have a bad year. But I mean, it's still UNC. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, UNC. Oh, who is that?
Hey,
No,
we have
that's my squad. I love it.
They have an incredible recruiting class coming in. So
I mean, they'll be back. They're not going to be on the mat for long.
He would have been possibly fighting for time if he goes to a UNC. Now he goes to Howard. He's the star.
I don't know about he's fighting for time.
Well, I mean, he's not just at Howard. He's going to be the guy.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, that's fair. But I mean, like, he's gonna start. He would have started at Kentucky, UNC, or UCLA. Definitely UCLA, and probably Kentucky, because that's the one thing they don't have is a big man unless they get Sarr. But that's a different story. Kid from
but when you go to those big schools, he's gonna get
Wake Forest.
More exposure. But like everyone said on this panel, the talent's gonna. I mean, people are going to go see him wherever he is because they're curious, and he's going to be in Washington D.C. You can get there. You can watch him play,
and they can adjust the TV windows now. They can send some people. Hey, it's not final. We can send some people to Howard and put them on TV.
And they better.
With everything going on with the MEAC right now, I believe Howard's still in the MEAC. I might have to double check that.
They are
because
they are.
MEAC has been. I mean, for the MEAC itself, this is big for them because they've been losing teams left and right. They lost FAMU. I think Bethune-Cookman is gone. So it's
not quite, but they're thinking about it. Not quite.
They're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Voices are telling me that they're going.
Right.
But
who are these voices talking to you?
I was waiting on that.
I got HBCU ties. Trust me.
Okay.
But it's a good move for him. I like the reasoning behind it, and he's hoping that other guys come follow. And he wants to build. How many people will have the guts to do what he just did?
I agree.
He's betting on himself. He's betting that he's that good that he's going to go out there and show out, and then the world's going to still want to come see him play, and he's going to be just fine. He doesn't need the UCLAs or the UNCs to be a star to make it to the next level. Feels that he's good enough. People are going to want to see him play, and they're going to come to Howard to see him play basketball.
The only thing that could make this, make this worse. Plus, I mean, look, you're in college. The longer you stay, the more they, Antonio knows this. The more they pick your game apart. Go do your year, have some fun at Howard. He'll be a one and done. Maybe carry the team to the NCAA tournament. They should be the favorites in the MEAC right now with him. Right. Get into the NCAA tournament, upset someone. The TV schedule will work around you, and they will come and find him at Howard. My son had some scholarship offers at Vanderbilt, a powerhouse in baseball. They looked at him, but they were stacked, and he was worried that I might not play for a year or two. And I said, look, dude, just go where you go. They will find you. Full ride at Eastern Kentucky, take it, dog. Like, that's $100,000. What are you doing, man? Like, Docs will find you, dog. And he's happy with his decision. He's at peace with it. So we've all been in these situations, and I'm rooting for him. And look, I'm all about the Maker mob, man. I'll be watching and seeing what the Bison do down there, the other HU, because Hampton's the real HU. Is that right?
The Pirates.
All right, let's keep it moving here. We'll talk PCH, the extra life. We'll get into the esports segment on here. We're going to get out of here in the next 5 to 10 minutes because I owe Renee some time. Extra life, PCH, Phoenix Children's Hospital. Huge Madden, NBA 2K, some other topics and games and publishers as well you can play. But that is July 24th, no, 25th and 26th in Atlanta at Access Replay. Qualifiers for the extra life, PCH, Phoenix Children's Hospital. Madden will be on Tuesday, July the 15th. NBA 2K, was that 14th? 13th and 14th. I knew I was going to mess this up because I never have it. It's not in front of me. Extra Life, PCH, Monday, NBA 2K, July 13th. Madden qualifier, July 14th. Sign up right now. You can go to competeforever.com and you can see all of that and you can sign up. $1,000 prize pool for both of those. So you can get in there. They're all virtual, by the way. Love to have
Free
you guys
entry,
join up.
right?
Free entry. And look at Renee doing the work. And the
People like
research.
free. I remember that part because I was like, wait, free? People
It's
like
free.
free. Yeah.
Everything we do for the most part is free. Absolutely.
Free.
Registration is free. Sign up is free. So the live finals will be actually quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals will be live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. July the 25th and 26th will be live at Axis. Renee Montgomery and myself doing the play-by-play for NBA 2K, and then me and Tyrone Poole, the two-time Super Bowl champ from the Patriots. We'll be doing Madden NFL once again. Madden Extra Life PCH on Tuesday, July 14th. NBA 2K Monday, July 13th for online qualifiers. All right, let's move on to Polk State event this weekend. Renee, you excited to do some NBA 2K this weekend?
Listen, I enjoyed it. I had my first NBA 2K experience. Speaking of HBCUs, it was the HBCU takeover with the Good Trouble people. And that was my first like NBA 2K calling a game. I'm used to calling the games with real humans. So that was different
So
for me.
real humans playing a game.
Yeah, there were real humans controlling, the screen, but it was different. But I enjoy it.
It's virtual. What do you think about the graphics? And when you look at it back, I mean, it's pretty clear how it is. And these guys are, hundreds, sometimes, thousands of miles away, and they're playing, and we're calling the game, and it's synced up, and yeah, it's ready to rock and roll.
No, it's
right there on the
actually
platter.
really cool. The part I enjoyed the most was just watching them throw tantrums. Look, that's me. I like competitive. I like competitive juices flowing. So I saw, my guy, he was throwing a lot of tantrums, and I'm like, look, I like that. He's not going down without a fight. So that's my take from it.
Chandler Craddock from Langston was in the final. He lost against Ahmad Moore from Fayetteville State. But he was mad because he was like trying to get our attention. We're like, what are you doing? Quit talking to us. Play the game. I guess something was covering. He
unpaused it. He literally, he's supposed to be playing. He unpaused it. He's like, hey, can y'all move that? I can't see the score.
No,
we were like,
actually,
what? No.
That was messing up his game?
Well, he said
apparently we did.
We could see the time fine. I don't know.
Time and score. No, that's important. So if he couldn't see time and score, he didn't know how much time he had to come back. I mean, it was an unfortunate series of events, but we
don't
were
worry
watching,
about it. Just come back.
You're not supposed to be looking at the Twitch stream while you're playing. That's
man, yeah.
It's on him.
I don't know, dude. And my thing is, look, if you're trying to come back, dude, you're down by 15. What does it matter if you come back now or late? Just
listen. He didn't know if he had 2 minutes or 2 seconds to come back.
You're in the third quarter, dude. You're down 15. Just start to come back now. That was pretty good. No, we had fun. It was 6 HBCUs. It was Southern. It was Langston. It was Fayetteville State. It was Hampton. It was John C. Smith. And what was the other one? I'm leaving one.
Virginia State, man.
Virginia State. Those tricky Trojans.
Petersburg in the house.
Petersburg in the house.
Oh my God.
Speaking of NBA 2K, we're going to have our 6th episode this weekend, Compete Forever, on national TV on the Black News Channel this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern, both days. That's Saturday, 11 a.m. And 6 p.m. Eastern, and also Sunday, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern. So 4 bites at the apple this weekend, folks. 4 viewings this week, 4 airings this week. It's going to be the SUNY Morrisville tournament that we did, NBA 2K. So SUNY Morrisville here in New York. Had some guys some kids that signed up. I think this was back in May. So it's going to air on TV this weekend. Myself and the King, Not Jared Lawler, but OG King Kurt on the call.
Hey,
Where Brooklyn at,
shouts
man?
to OG, man. Miss my guy. Snook and Diddy too. Love you guys. I wanted to say also though that you guys basically have a residency now on Black News Channel. Like this is like a thing, you know. So
Yeah,
people
yeah.
need to know on these days. We shouldn't have to tell you it's 11 and 6.
11 and 6
Y'all
both
watching the
days.
show? Come
Four
on.
times, absolutely. 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern, both days. So this week is NBA 2K. I think next week we got more Madden. I think it will be another Electric City classic from Rivers Casino. But this week, SUNY Morrisville. We'll find out who wins PS4 on that side and also Xbox. We're going to have two champs. I will say one of them that won had a very moving message for his mom. So it was pretty cool with that. So we'll get into that. Coach K, any final thoughts? I know OG is going to be in on that. It'll be good to see OG with the glasses on TV this
With the
weekend.
glasses, the fancy specs.
I
He's
know.
sponsored now. Those are sponsored specs, okay?
Ain't tell him nothing.
Listen, shouts to OG on securing multiple bags, okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And shout out to Snook and Diddy. What it do?
Shouts to Snook and Diddy up in West Virginia. You know, they're getting antsy. Stay home, okay? I know
Yes,
they've been,
yes,
people are
yes.
starting to get antsy because it's been only about 5 months now. Stay home.
Don't move, Snook and Diddy. Just stay right there in front of your TV or your
Yes.
computer or your cell phone and just stream esports action. We're back on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Love it. Love it. Yes.
Any final thoughts? We're going to get out here early tonight, guys. Coach K, any final thoughts?
Nah, just stay tuned on Saturday, and also stay Black News Channel, and also on Twitch. Got the Polk College event.
Polk State
So
College down there in Florida.
tune in.
Yes,
Tune
sir.
in.
Yes, sir. Polk
What part of
State
Florida
College.
is that?
Lakeland, I believe. So in between Orlando and Tampa.
I think
Yeah.
actually, shouts to my teammate Tiffany Hayes. I think she's Polk County. I mean, is that the same part in Florida? Because I want
I
to
think
shout
so.
her out if that's
Think
the
so.
same area. I think she reps it heavy. So shouts to Polk County. Tiffany Hayes, my teammate for the dream. We're doing a little something at Polk State.
Kids call her Tiff. That's what I right. That's what I heard, right? Tiff
Call her
Hayes.
Kiera.
And congratulations to congratulations to the queen of esports extra, Renee Montgomery on TMZ the other day. We saw you, girl. We ain't letting you get out of here
Thank
without
you.
that.
Thank
He's
you.
everywhere.
Appreciate it. I'll be back
Hey.
on tonight, tomorrow, the day after that. But thank you.
Ooh,
Thank
is this permanent or just this week or what are we doing? here?
Listen, I
Wanna
think
break some news?
we're flirting right now.
We're
We're flirting.
flirting?
Yeah, we're flirting. They're courting
Okay.
me, so they
They
gotta,
courting
they gotta, put a ring on me.
Say,
We're not
"Hold
gonna
on it."
just
Make them
we're
put
not
a
gonna
ring
just
on it.
do this dating thing
Yeah.
like this.
Hey,
So
expensive dinners,
if you
Renee.
like it,
Don't
then
let
you
her get
gotta
off the
put a
hook.
ring on it. You know what I'm saying? $200 dates over here. Let's do it.
200. I hear you, girl. Hey,
Oh,
don't forget about us little folks, man. Tell them, hey, man, I got my guys, man. Put them
Listen, my
on.
guys, I'm gonna shout. I need to find a way to shout
Hey.
esports extra out.
Yeah.
Send the crew to ambush Larry.
Yeah, that would be funny. All right, guys, we got to get out of here so Renee can get some rest. Renee, you're not on tomorrow. We'll see you again Sunday.
Not- You will see me again Sunday.
Sunday. All right.
Yeah.
For Kevin Mamuzet back there pushing all the buttons, my man has been working hard, man, working on a bunch of different projects. We certainly appreciate him. Derwin Worrell, great banter today. Colin Kaepernick, non-apologist, antagonist, whatever you want to call him, but a good brother, a good
Great.
family man. Antonio Williams, the husband of the great Siobhan Williams. Because
That's
I think
right. That's right. We know who the boss is.
He's a
hey,
smart man. Happy
Yes.
wife, happy life. He is a smart
No
man.
question.
tell Siobhan
No
she paid her
question.
cost to be the boss. She's the boss to pay the
She
cost.
did. That's right.
And then Renee Montgomery, two-time WNBA champ. We're going to throw up the A's for Renee. Get them up there, the two-time champ in this piece.
Hey.
Yes, ma'am. Guys, we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks for watching Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports and esports. We're back tomorrow night right here. Esports Extra, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, all of that good stuff. Mixer, YouTube as well. We'll see you tomorrow. They'll do it here from the New Jersey area, the tri-state. Be good.